technology, as I said that word, innovation. And I would submit to you that it's actually a whole lot more about human behavior. And if we think about human behavior, and we heard Seth this morning, what really drives people? They want to be normal. In fact, if I find out my neighbor's using less energy, odds are I'm going to use a lot less too. I know Powers Research showed that, so it was good to have Seth up here this morning. So if you think about that human element, that human behavior, how do we start to drive a new energy normal? Well, National Grid thinks you've got to get started with 3 key things. First thing, you've got to put the customer in the driver's seat, and you've got to truly listen to them. Secondly, we've got to shift our regulatory models, and as you heard, there's 50 different ones plus the feds. Everybody's got a slightly different view. We need to get focused on the customer. And thirdly, we need a much more resilient and technologically capable grid in order to start that journey towards that new normal for energy. You guys remember cell phones about 15 years ago? And I know some of you are pretty young, so maybe you don't remember the bag phone there on the right. But that bag phone was quite large, pretty expensive. Emergency personnel used it, and it was great at the time. And I bet at that moment in time, no one could have envisioned a time where text messages, you could buy that plan, they'd throw the voice in for free. Right? How far have we come in that new normal that got created via cell phones? So if anybody have a teenager or interact with a teenager, what do you see? Right? All they do is look at their screens. And when they're looking at their screens, what are they actually doing? Well, they're searching for data. They're searching for information. They're finding their friends, and they're asking whatever question pops into their head. Do zebras have brown stripes? Yep, when they're born. What's their new energy normal? And we're pretty convinced it's going to be data-driven, and we're going to need a lot more real-time pricing and ability to charge their apps in their devices wherever they are, whenever they want to be there. So we're standing at the beginning of a journey, and we believe that that journey needs to be taken with customers, regulators, legislators, vendors, and with people of all different descriptions, and that if we can co-create a future for energy, that's the journey that we need to be on. You guys might recognize some of these folks. We've got Tesla, Edison, and Westinghouse up there. They developed the power system back in the late 1800s, and of course the scary part is they recognize every single component that I still have in play today. In fact, I've got a line Thomas Edison built still in service in upstate New York, and there's pipe that was laid at the time Abraham Lincoln was president. Hopefully you agree with me, it's time to transform this grid to become an innovation playground. It's got to start to change and re-enable all of our lives, the way we live on our terms. And part of that's got to be multi-way power flow. It's got to have a lot more open source data and actionable information. That regulatory model has got to shift from the monopolistic regulatory view to a really customer-based innovation focus, and we've got to get that grid ready to go. So I get excited about tech, right, and doing a lot of innovative work. We'll tell you about that in a minute. But at the end of the day, that whole technology suite has got to be about giving customers actionable information, whether it's what they connect to our grid, how they use our energy, and what decisions they may make over time, or that their appliances may make, as you heard this morning. That's why Green Button's so important. And so we signed up for the Green Button initiative, even though we don't have a lot of AMI meters yet, and trying to make it work with the information that we have. And when do you need information most? Well, you need that information in times of crisis. Something like Superstorm Sandy, you need real-time actionable information in your hands. And that's why National Grid's developed a number of innovative projects, and if you want to see them, come see the booth later on. The first one is with MIT, we developed a predictive model that can actually tell us where the damage is going to be on our system ahead of the storm. Today, we fed it 6 storms, and it's 85% accurate. Secondly, we developed a damage assessment tool off the back of the Esri platform, and we're able to send folks in the field, get data, come back through the cloud, and make a very different prediction about where we need to send crews. And then finally, situational analysis tool. So we went from a situation where we gave customers data that was 8 hours old to 15-minute real time. Now they can take action in their lives and make the decisions they've got to make in times of crisis. And that's why I'm really proud to announce today that, along with a number of other utilities, we're working very hard to make an open source approach for power outage data. So when the next Superstorm Sandy comes, hopefully a lot of the utilities will be putting that info out into the public domain so people can take action. And of course we need to modernize that grid. So I mentioned one-way power flow. Today, you want to put distributed generation, solar, wind on our grid. I'm able to pervasively provide that opportunity for everyone because the power flows one way. We've got to get ourselves into a very different situation. So, if you agree with me that we're moving towards a new energy normal, and that if customers in the driver's seat, we start to change that regulatory model and we make the grid a little more resilient, then I hope all of you, with all of the data that we have out there, will work together to find that new energy normal, and I'll have some nifty picture 10 years from now that shows the transformation of the grid. Thank you.